This week at Mac Outdoors, you're going to hear some awesome stories and some fun tips about shooting and some of the fun adventures we had as we reunited for the holiday week. Stay tuned.
This summer, whether you're at the range or in the field, WSI Sports' Hypertech bamboo tanks, tees, and leggings will have you covered. Visit WSISports.com and use Leah's affiliate code, LLCO10, for 10% off your purchase. All products are proudly made in the USA. WSI is bringing back pride in American-made clothing. Again, that code is LLCO10 for 10% off your order at WSISports.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Mac Outdoors podcast, where a dynamic mother-daughter duo share their adventures, tips, and advice. I am Mia, and I'll be accompanied by the one and only daughter, Leah. It is time to get to outdoors, hunt, shoot, and spend time with family and friends. Let's get this show on the road. Hey guys, welcome back. We're recording again from different states, which is kind of amazing and crazy because Leah actually traveled down to Colorado for a visit, but we were so busy that we didn't have time to sit down and record. We hope that you guys had a fun 4th of July, and we hope you'll let us know what activities you did. Leah spent a lot of her time in our local town. We watched the parade, and then she was at the rodeo most of the time, right?
Yes, I can never get away from rodeo, even when I head back home. I was taking photos, of course. And it was so much fun for me because I got to photograph all my friends that I knew, and even some that I didn't know I knew because I hadn't seen them in so long, or they're from a town near where I live. So it was really cool to see everyone and how much fun everyone was having at my local rodeo. So I was super happy to be there.
Yeah, it was really cool. And the rodeo was pretty good, and there were some good riders. And of course, at Legit Outdoors, there are some good photos of the Red Rider Roundup. So that's always cool to see. And it's a tradition here in our area. I know a lot of towns have parades. And this year, what did you think of the parade, Leah? Did you think it's pretty cool?
It's always good. It's always fun to see everyone getting excited to be out there. And
yeah, I thought it was a little bit shorter this year than usual, but that was good because it's always so hot out there. So it was nice that it wasn't too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with all that heat and whatnot, we did have the rodeo. Then as soon as Leah was done, she had to head back home. Normally, she helps with our local ladies shooting events, and she teaches shotgun there, but since she had to be on the road, she didn't get to help this year, so she missed a day in the sun.
Yeah, I was actually super bummed because I always love teaching people and all the new experiences, as we've talked about. So I was bummed, but not super bummed that I missed the hot days down there.
Yeah, it was really hot. So you definitely did okay not getting the heat. But I wish you were here too, because we talked in one episode about shotgun and how to shoot a tip if you're left eye dominant but shooting right-handed and you're shooting at clays. And I wish that you were here to teach a couple of the ladies that tip because they didn't get to learn that this year. And I know some of them would have liked to have figured that one out at the range.
So were there any highlights of the shoot this year?
Well, this year, every year, I kind of float around just helping wherever I'm needed. I helped at shotgun one year and then muzzleload. And this year, I helped at the rifle range where we actually taught ladies to shoot ARs. And then I helped with the 50 cal BMG. So that's always a highlight at that shoot. Some of those ladies have never shot guns before. So it's really cool to get them behind not just an AR, but to get them behind that 50 cal is amazing. And out of all 30 ladies, there was only one who wasn't too excited about it. All the rest of them were just amazing and in awe about that big giant gun. So that was really cool. And it was a lot of fun to teach them at that area. The second day I got to teach archery, so that was fun too.
Any sharpshooters out there?
Any sharpshooters? Well, I heard a lot of hooting and hollering at shotgun since it's right beside rifle. So apparently there were some girls that could hit some clays. And there was cheering going on once in a while over there. As far as the rifle range, there were a couple girls. I taught on open sights, so a peep sight. And there were a couple girls that really figured that out and a couple girls who couldn't figure it out, didn't do it as great. But everybody hit the target with that one. And then we also had another AR that had a red dot sight. And of course, that one, the groups were like the size of a quarter. So if anyone's looking for an optic for their AR, a red dot is really a good sight. And it also was just, I mean, so easy. You just put the dot on whatever you want to hit and you're going to hit it. So super cool. And Leah's also working on an AR, and we'll be talking about that in future episodes as she builds that. And so if anybody has questions for us, send them in, or if you have tips or advice, send them in. And at the end of the show, we'll give you our social media outlets, and you can message or comment on those when we're done with this episode, because we'd love to hear tips. And if there's something that you want to know, we'll try to answer it for you. So the highlight, of course, was the 50 BMG. That was definitely the highlight. Everybody hit the target with that. We really taught them how to shoot long range and how to hold that big gun to be steady at a long distance. So that was really cool. The other stations, which I wasn't at, there's the archery station, the 22 rifle and handgun, muzzle load. And so those ones, I'm sure they were great also, but they're on the other side. So I really didn't get to keep an eye on what was going on over there, but I know they had fun. The second day was extremely hot. That was fly fishing day. The water was almost 80 degrees. So nobody really caught many fish. I heard that one person caught one, but I never figured out who it was and never saw a picture. So you know how fish tails go. Yeah. But I did have some new shooters at 3D Archery, and one of them is a 71-year-old grandma that was fit as a fiddle and gets out and does everything. She paddle boards, and she has a lab that she takes out and about, and she was shooting the bow at the 3D targets and just did awesome. And especially, actually, it was so hot out there, and she did outstanding. I was just so impressed by her and her persistence. So that was really cool. And then I guess that was the same day, Leah, you were on your way home, but you stopped on the way so you could go do some shooting, right?
Yes, I traveled down with my shotgun and bow. We shot a few times, which we'll talk more about after the break. But I went and shot shotguns, believe that. And I haven't shot in a really long time, surprisingly, which I got heckled about. But I shot with a bunch of the local guys where I shot before I left, and it was so much fun. And I was super nervous because I was in Colorado. I was getting some work done on my back, which we shared in some previous episodes, why I had that happen.
And that's also partly why Leah hasn't shot in her shotgun in a while, was because of her back. So
yeah, my last competition, which was last fall. So that's how long I haven't shot. I've shot a couple times here and there, which we talked about, me doing a college shooting team and stuff like that. So I was a little hesitant because I only had work done earlier in the week. But surprisingly, the next day, the only thing that was so sore were my shoulder blades.
Nice.
So my lower back wasn't even sore at all, which I was super happy about because I was a little worried, but it was a lot of fun. We did some crazy long distance shooting and played Annie Oakley. And if anyone hasn't played that, I highly recommend if you go shooting with family or friends to play this shooting game where you take 3 people at a time, and you have number 1, 2, and 3 stand at the shooting line. The first person calls pull. Once they shoot, the second person gets to shoot at either a full clay if they missed, and or a piece of the clay if there is a piece left, because sometimes there isn't. And then the third person has to shoot after the second person and add whatever's left for them. from the first and second person. We play with points where so if the second person hits whatever's left for the first person gets a strike. And then if the third person hits the piece after first and second, then the second and first person get a strike. That makes it a little more fun and lasts a little longer than just being out right away. And you just keep rotating around and around. So it's a lot of fun, and it gets really competitive, and it really helps with your shooting as you aim small, miss small, as many people say.
Yeah, and that's cool. It makes you kind of be more instinctive too, because you're having to see where that chunk flies and just go to it. So I think I like that kind of shooting because I don't have time to overthink how I'm mounted or how I'm holding my gun, or you just have to remember what you're doing and know how to do it. So that's a lot of fun.
For me, it's so funny because I can miss a full bird all the time, and then I'll hit everyone's pieces that were in front of me, even if I've hit dime-sized pieces, which I don't know how, and I think it's so much fun because you're like, how do you miss a full bird, but you can hit this little dime-sized piece, and it really teaches you how to manage your lead and follow through as well, shooting at pieces. So it is good for competition shooters as well.
Yeah, it's great practice. That's super cool and fun, and I'm so glad that you got to do that. You actually told me that you won a little bit of money, so congratulations. That's cool.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone puts $1 in, and that's how they do that. So I won a whopping $12 shop. So that was exciting. There was only, I think, 5 of us shooting. So
you did pretty good. Yeah, you did good. Well, that's awesome. And we're going to take a small, brief break. And after the break, we need to talk about some other guns that we shot before Leah left our house, because she brought a rifle and a friend, and we shot some guns at our range here at the house. So we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, host of the Armed Lutheran Radio podcast, reminding you that the podcast you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all the great content at selfdefenseradio.net.
So now that we're back, we have something else to talk about because this was super fun and we almost forgot about it. While Leah was here, she brought her boyfriend with her. Of course, parents are so excited about boyfriends, but what we were more excited about was her boyfriend brought a rifle. And so since he brought his rifle, what kind of rifle did he bring, Leah?
He brought his brand new 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yep. And so since he brought his 6.5 Creedmoor, I had to pull out my Mother's Day present. Was it a Mother's Day present? I've had this rifle for like a year, and I haven't had time to sight it in because I didn't have the scope to fit on it, and blah, 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 and on and on. But so I decided since he had his 6.5, I would pull out mine, which is actually a 6.5 300, and it's a Weatherby. And I have optics on it. It just needed to be sighted in, and we hadn't been able to shoot because of the fire danger and stuff like that. But since we had this other rifle and fire danger is down and we have a good backstop at our place, we decided we'd both sight in. So it was super cool. Leah and her boyfriend and Hank and me and Leah's grandma, we all went out to the range. And she's giggling because Leah's grandma usually doesn't want to go out to the range, but for some reason, whatever reason, this day she wanted to go. And we got the boyfriend's 6.5 sighted in, and it took no time at all, right? I mean, it was pretty. And
it even got its first animal, which was a prairie dog that made the wrong decision and ran through the shooting range. So
that is a true story. True story. That 6.5 Creedmoor was dialed because there was no more prairie dog left. Yeah. So you can use those to shoot prairie dogs. You can also use them to hunt big game. And then we sighted in my rifle, the 6.5 300. It does have a muzzle brake. I had a couple people ask about the muzzle brake on there. I shared a picture on, I think, my Instagram and Facebook. But the muzzle brake, Leah's rifle, she has a 270 WSM, and it has a muzzle brake. And the muzzle brake on a rifle does not affect the velocity of the bullet. It doesn't affect the trajectory. What it does is it reduces the recoil and it blows the gases back. And so you definitely need some ear protection because that boom is coming back at you instead of going out the front of the barrel. And other than that, it's all dialed. It's still going to shoot in the same hole and all of that. So if any of you had questions about muzzle brakes, I thank you for asking them. And if you have other questions about it, let us know. But that's, someone said it's training wheels, but regardless, I'll keep the training wheels on there. It came with it and I'll leave it on there. That rifle shot very well. We put a Swarovski optic on there. We'll have to tell you all the specs on that one in a different episode because we could spend a long time talking about scopes. But the big highlight of the day, Leah's a good teacher. I'm a good teacher. But who have we never taught and why, Leah?
We have never taught my grandma.
Yep.
And because, well, I know because I don't have a lot of patience and I get a little nervous because we never know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and she's saying how she's getting nervous. And you just heard a little word from my friend Lloyd from Armed Lutheran Radio. And if you go listen to Armed Lutheran Radio to the Father's Day special, he'll talk about a Father's Day trip of him and his son to go to his dad's and how unsafe his dad was with firearms. So here we are, my daughter, Leah, and me, Mia, and then we've got the mom, Grandma. And the thing is, when you're trying to teach a parent how to shoot, there is that whole hierarchy of respect. And trying to have somebody older than you listen to what you're telling them is an issue regardless. But when you're dealing with guns, whoever you're teaching has got to listen and they have to be safe. And this is partly why Leah and I were hesitant because we didn't want to have any incidents. And thankfully, this day we had no incidents. But there comes a time where, like, an adult might be to a kid, well, you're not going to tell me what to do. And I think this is what both of us kind of projected or thought in our minds was that this was what would happen at the range. For some reason, on this day at the range, Nan decided that she wanted to shoot, and we had sighted in, and she said, "Can I shoot too?" And we all looked at each other like, what? And then we said, okay, right? So, and lo and behold, she stepped in, she sat behind the rifle at the chair. She listened to every word. Leah was a spotter, so she wasn't really the one teaching. I kind of stepped back and let Hank teach her, Nan. And she listened to every word he said.
it went really good and really smooth. And she shot like so perfect, even better than Hank shot with it on his first try. So she was super happy she even hit the target, much less in the center of the target. So it was really cool that she was so happy. And then to hear her say, "Can I do it again?"
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It was really cool.
It was really cool. And I think all of us were really excited. I don't know if Leah's boyfriend realized the dynamic of what was going on, but I know Hank and I both, and Leah, all of us were like, wow, this is so cool. And she did, just like Leah said, she shot really well. She followed the directions. She did everything like just how she was supposed to, and shot the 6.5-300 first. And she did really well. And yeah, we did have it on the bench, but still, that's a big gun, you know. After that, she shot the 6.5 Creedmoor. And so it was pretty cool, really neat, and it's a memorable day for me.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, that was one memorable day of shooting, even though we weren't out there long because we didn't want to be in the scorching heat, of course, and we had a rodeo to get to. But we'd love it if you shared your awesome family shooting stories with us on our social media. Mia Amstein on Instagram and Twitter. And I'm Leah_Huntress on Instagram. And we are on Facebook as well. So be sure to go follow us and send us any tips or stories. We'd love to hear from you guys. Be sure to subscribe to us and tune in for our next episode. Thanks for stopping in.
Bye, guys. Talk to you next week.